All right, I wanted to make a video for you guys about why the ZV1 is my favorite camera for TikTok and just all around kind of making the basic videos that you need to be able to promote what you're doing online. I have a lot of different cameras. I have the A7R III, I have the iPhone 13 Pro, I have a GoPro, I have the Pocket 2, and I have the ZV1. And in the past, I've had a lot of different cameras. I've had cinema cameras, I've had various point and shoot cameras. Basically, cameras are an addiction that are expensive and that I can't seem to get away from. But I keep coming back to the ZV1 as my main camera of choice. And I wanted to explain that today because I don't really make these type of videos very often about the type of gear that I think is best for something. But my philosophy with gear is I try to have as little as possible because I found in my life it actually helps me make as much as possible. The less things have to be confusing and complicated, the more I am to likely just get it going and click record and start making something. So for someone like me, something like the iPhone would realistically work out best, but there's always issues that I keep coming back to with the iPhone that make it complicated. Every couple of months, I'm trying to get new accessories and new things to make the iPhone exactly what I know it can be and I know where it is going to be. Every time the new iPhone comes out, I get it and it gets this much closer to being able to be the perfect content camera for anything that doesn't need to be really professional. I think YouTube is at a place where you're better off having a nicer camera, a nicer quality microphone, having everything look and sound a little bit better. But on places like TikTok or Instagram, I actually think it kind of hurts it unless that's your specific niche. What I see more often is people who just use the front camera on their phone, and that's kind of what you're expecting to see. So anything nicer than that kind of feels like it's a sales or a promotional video. So you can get the iPhone and get the moment lenses that go onto it, and you can get a mirror so that you can see yourself, and you can get a tripod to be able to hold with it and vlog with it, and all that's great. And if that's all that you have, I think it's your best choice. It's so close to being amazing that really nobody's gonna care. And that does bring up another bias right there for me, which is I make music videos. I'm a photographer and videographer for other people as well as doing music. So I want good quality audio and I want good quality video. But using my big camera like my A7R III or back when I had my A7S II, it's just a little bit more complicated. It's a lot more I have to carry around. And sure, the image quality is much better with that full frame sensor, but the quality isn't really worth the extra hassle of trying to use it all the time. Especially when I have a setup set up like this with a huge light and a screen on top of my camera and a mic right here. Pulling down and setting up this setup every time I want to do that is a little bit complicated. And that's what brings me into cameras like the ZV1. The ZV1 is a nice small camera, but its biggest drawback was that its lens just wasn't wide enough when you're trying to use it to make content for yourself. So there's a simple $50 lens you buy from Ulanzi on Amazon. You screw that onto there and it gives you that extra real estate that you need. Also, when you put it into 1080p, you get a little bit wider of an image too. So I don't really ever feel like it's too punched in. When I first bought the camera, that actually kept me from using it a lot. I really only used it as like a more portable live stream camera, or when I didn't want to bring my big camera along but still wanted higher quality, this is the camera I would bring. But now that I've gotten the wide angle lens and a couple various other attachments, this is now the perfect camera for me. This is usually how I keep it set up, and I kind of just keep it in this little rig right here. This is the Mantis Pro tripod by PGY Tech. I love this thing ever since I've gotten it. I don't want to use any other small tripod. I use this for my big camera, my little camera, my phone, everything. The nice thing about this is I just keep this microphone here mounted on the side and it can plug into whatever camera I put on here. So no matter what I hurry and slap on here, I have really good audio, which is by far the most important if you're making videos. This tripod has a bunch of features that I won't go into right now, like it can hang on stuff and everything, but the main reason I use it is that it's so small and light. It holds the microphone right there, and it's really easy to adjust the angle and get different cameras on here. Now, for the camera itself, I have a plate on the bottom, and I also have a plate on the side, and that's just because with everything going into vertical short form video content, I want to be able to just turn it and lock the camera in like that, and now I have a vertical camera that I'm using, and I'm able to shoot vertically for TikTok, as well as put down the camera and record in a more stable traditional fashion with still having really high quality audio. Obviously, you point the mic at yourself. I had the ZV1 for about 6 months before I really put it through its paces. I actually let a friend borrow it because I wasn't really using it too much and I didn't think that it really fit into my workflow. Then I decided to just dive into it and try to use only this, and I pretty much haven't gone back. I try to use my cell phone and I still do use it for the occasional TikTok video here and there, but this has become my go-to. I have an SD card adapter that goes right into my iPad or right into my phone if I even need to do it quicker like that. There is a way to send the files from here to your phone, but that's kind of more complicated, and at that point, if I'm going through that big of a process, I might as well just pop out the SD card. This handle that I have on it just makes sure that I can grip it easier when I go somewhere, but it also makes it so I can still access my battery when I have a tripod plate mounted onto it. And the versatility of this camera of being able to do super slow-mo as well as high quality 4K video, the autofocus on it is amazing, and the product showcase feature, like with this camera I have here, I need to hold it up and block my face. With this one right here, anything that I put close to the camera lens will just automatically get focused on, and it does an amazing job of it. Mix that with the Ulanzi lens where you can screw off this front attachment and have a macro underneath that, and that just makes any product type video that you're doing super simple to get the super up close details and show and explain the product that you're trying to explain. When you buy this camera, it comes with this little windsock on here, and this really helps. The microphone on here isn't that bad. I still prefer to run it with an external microphone if I need to, but the fact that I can just pop this on there and I leave that on, and that allows me to get an acceptable audio quality really anywhere that I'm at. And with this camera being able to be so small, if I take off these two tripod attachments and this lens, it now becomes a much smaller, simpler thing that I can pop into a bag, pop into a pocket, and carry this with me. So now this is also my go everywhere camera. There are some complaints that I still have about it, but almost everything that I had an issue with when it first came out has either had some attachment come out around it or the firmware updates have fixed it. The main thing that I don't like about that is it's still just never gonna be as convenient as using your phone. Your phone has a really high quality, especially your back camera, has a very high quality camera. The audio on it is pretty acceptable as long as you're inside and it's not too echoey. And you always have this on you. The battery is really good on it. It lasts for a long time. And even the issues like when you get a call at cutting off your camera, you can just quickly put it into airplane mode. It takes less time than it would even take to turn on and get ready the ZV1 that it would to just turn on airplane mode and start filming on your phone. I still think that once they get a couple things figured out on this, this is going to be the best camera. For me, it needs to be some way to see myself while I'm filming. Either a little screen on the back or finally make the front camera a really high quality camera, because with their computational photography, it's already almost there. For the quality of camera, you're getting a really good picture. It's just not up to par with something like the ZV1. You can obviously go huge and get a really nice high quality full frame camera or a cinema camera or a Super 35 or whatever, but every bit of quality that you're going up, the ease of use is going down and down and down. I still recommend this over the ZV1 to almost everybody that asks me about cameras. My nephew is starting a YouTube and a TikTok. He wanted to get a new camera. I told him focus on audio gear and getting a little bit of lighting and save your camera for later. Your phone is for sure good enough. But if you want something that's easy to use and makes making social media content super easy, then I would get something like the ZV1 and pair it with the Mantis Pod, and in a couple clicks, you're ready to go shooting, getting really high quality video. It seems like this video has really became a ZV1 versus an iPhone 13 Pro type video, but it's because these are really the only two options that I would kind of put forward into social media type content. My Pocket 2 and the Creator combo is probably my favorite overall camera. It's like a Swiss Army knife of cameras, but everything that does, one of these two does. The Pocket 2 has a gimbal built into it, so if you're doing a lot of content where you need very smooth footage, I think that's obviously the better way to go, but the Pocket 2 needs a lot of light and it just feels a lot more fragile than carrying one of these around with you. With when you're running and gunning and you're doing social media content, you're tossing this into a bag or a backpack, you can't really have it feeling fragile. Now don't get me wrong about the Pocket 2, it really is my favorite camera. I beat myself up every day because I don't use it as much as I should, but I keep it in my bag and I do use it quite a bit, but I don't think I would really use it as my A camera for my social media content. If I wanted something around that quality, I would just use my iPhone, and the iPhone stabilization isn't bad. You can pair this up with a simple mic that you plug into the bottom of it, or if you're shooting inside, just shoot with the microphone built into this and learn a little bit about EQ and compressing a vocal, and you're gonna get a more than acceptable option. I know this is kind of rambling and it seems back and forth because there isn't truly one best camera, but for some reason I just keep coming back to the ZV1 and I end up using this more and more and more. I use this more than my big professional camera, even shooting photos. That's why I sold my A7S III for an A7R III, was because I take a lot of photos of my kids and I do photo shoots for people, and the video quality was really good on both. The A7S II was way better in low light, but if I'm using a big camera, I always have lights wherever I'm shooting. But I've even started to use this more for photography, especially of my kids, because it's so simple to just hurry and get some shots. There's something magical about this little ZV1, and I think that if you're a person that makes a lot of content, especially this new style of short form and just trying to push out as much content as possible, I think looking into the ZV1 is a good option for you. If you want the very best quality and having it still be easy, get a nice big shotgun mic, get a full frame camera, and just go about it it that way. But if you want to be able to kind of make content as you're going all day here and there, you want something that I can easily plug this into my computer and use it as a webcam. I can get photos of my kids with it. I can get really high quality video. I can get slow motion video. The files are really easy for my computer to work with. The autofocus on it is amazing. The colors out of camera are great too. And instead of feeling like it's a bunch of homework to sit and shoot and edit my videos down, this has made it a complete joy for me. And it's kind of finally making me love making videos again. I think it's crazy that I had this for 6 months before I really realized its potential. And I'm glad I gave it that second chance that I did, because this ZV1 is my new favorite camera. And I think the best camera for TikTok and overall social media creators in general. But this one is sneaking up on it, and we'll see what the iPhone 14 has to offer.